Liza. It's another time to discuss on camera presentation, and I trust you have been following every step of the way. I assume that you have been enjoying yourself in all of our conversations so far. Well, the journey is almost over for those who are beginning to ask, when is this going to end? But I just want to trust that it's not just about asking the question, but you are getting value. Last week, we discussed a lot of things. We talked about the basics of on-camera presentation, what it means, what is required for the behind the scene, especially for those who will be doing most of their video or camera presentation by themselves. You should know what happens behind the scene. And now we moved gradually from behind the scene to what's happening in front of the camera. And we talked about a lot of things, your body movement, your body language, gestures, facial expressions, physical look. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Now, let's talk about the things you say. And when I'm talking about the things you say, we're talking about the body, the structure of every of your conversation on camera today. So when we return, we'll bring you all the juicy, juicy talk right here on camera presentation with Miriam Usman. Welcome back. So today we're talking about the structure, the body of your presentation. Let me quickly remind you that no presentation is complete if you're not well put together. And that's why I always emphasize, always have yourself put together before you come in front of a camera. For instance, I want to talk about, let's say I want to talk about, let's say I want to talk about dressing, for instance, on a presentation. And say my dressing, dressing is very broad, it's a broad topic. You want to talk about dressing, do you want to talk about male dressing or female dressing? Do you want to talk about adult dressing or children dressing? Aha. Now that's what presentation is all about. This should always be an head and tail. In those days when we write letters, it's a, oh, have your salutation, there should be a head and there should be a body and a tail. Same thing with presentation. Always have your body, your head, your tail, everything combined before you dish it out to anybody, right? Now, we want to talk about dressing and you're in front of a camera. Remember that every single time you're in front of a camera, you are to deliver a message to a given audience at a given time through a given medium. So for instance, I'm making this video and it's on landscape. It's on landscape because my form, my method, the platform I'm sending this message across is YouTube. You might not want to use landscape videos for Instagram platform, for instance, or for Facebook. Most times, what sells there is usually the portrait videos or certain ratios. TikTok has its own ratios for video, as well as Instagram, as well as Facebook. For YouTube, your landscape. I forgot to mention that it is very important. Now, I went as far as making landscape videos for YouTube videos because I know this is what sells in YouTube. That's what makes it enjoyable for the viewers. Now, we're talking about ratio. That is just by the side. Now, let's talk about your message. So, you want to talk about dressing. You want to teach people how to dress. You could go as far as breaking down the conversation. Why do you want to talk about dressing? What have you noticed in recent time? So let's say you've noticed that a lot of people are dressing the wrong way, maybe putting wrong combinations of colors, especially for women. And you want to talk about the need for us to do the right thing as women so we can, show our elegance. It is very important that most times you help your viewers understand what you're saying in the very first 5 seconds. Let them know what you want to talk about. Let's talk about movies today. Let's talk about food. Let's talk about dressing. Let's talk this. Let's talk that. Let there be a catchy phrase, especially for your opening statement. Most times, people love to use the storytelling technique. They tell a story that gets everyone glued to know what's happening. So it is very important for you to always know what you will use as your opening statement. Now, when you make your opening statement, probably stating a problem, your observation, or what you want to define what the topic is all about. And when you have done that in the very first few seconds, I'd say 5 seconds, go down to stating, remember you're always using time. There's no time in camera presentation. Be very mindful of that. Go straight to the body. What does your body consist of? Does it consist of the types of clothing? Why it's necessary to to wear the normal or the kind of clothes you want to promote, right? Remember I said on camera presentation also could be for to educate, to inspire, and also to persuade. So whatever it is you're making this video for, always have that at the back of your mind that there should be a body, there should be a head, the body and the tail. And all of that is what you wrap up in just few minutes. I told you the attention span of a lot of people right now reduces by the day. So the highest you can get people, especially on social media, is maximum 2 minutes. When it exceeds that, it takes the grace of God to get your audience glued to your video. Now, let's come back to scripting. I mentioned before that you can choose to script every single word of your presentation, or you script by bulletin. Scripting every single word of your presentation is possible if you have a teleprompter. A lot of people could present with a teleprompter in front of them and they do it so comfortable. In fact, I would need to teach those who are interested how to present to a teleprompter, but that's not what we're doing today. How do you present freestyle and always remember? Don't forget that nobody is a machine, including me, including the video you're watching. There's a lot of cut and join, right? But at every single point, you have to look like you know what you're doing. And so that's why scripting is important. Remember, I told you you could script in your pad, in your notebook, something very close to you that can always prompt you of what you need to say and when you need to say. The beautiful thing about on-camera presentation is it's not always live. For those that are live, you need your scripts. For every, even recorded, you need your script for every point in time. Unless you're like a professional that just need, okay, I have the idea of what I want to do. I know how to build it when I'm in front of camera. So it is very, very, very important that you have head, body, and tail of your presentation. And do not all forget the power of confidence. Confidence is very important in presentation. The moment you don't embody it, you're losing your audience. So when I come to you and say, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, I'm super excited. Another thing is learn to leave your words with your facial expression. When I say I'm excited, let it reflect. Let it not just be the words. I'm excited to announce that Abeokuta has become one of the greatest cities in the whole world. It has to speak in your eyes. Your eyes has to talk. Your mouth is talking. Your hands are also talking. Your body movement, right? So that is what presentation is all about. Oh, good news. A lot of people cannot have access to free electricity for the month of March all through the month of April, courtesy of the Ogun State government. This means for every rural and urban settlement in Ogun State now have access to what we call, you can feel it. It has to be inside. It has to come out and reflect in every. So please ensure you don't take your presentation moody. And this can only happen when you do rehearsals. For every single time you have to come to the camera. If it's possible, do your rehearsals more than 5 times. Another very interesting technique I'm going to teach you for rehearsing your on-camera presentation is before you stand in front of a camera, try standing in front of a mirror, maybe a big mirror or maybe a half mirror, where you could see yourself from your head to your toe. You could tell if you're fidgeting. You could tell if you have the confidence that you're looking for. You could tell all that you need to know just before going in front of camera. So why not stand in front of a mirror, say those things you want to say it as many times as you want to. Get hold of yourself. I promise you, you do that for 5 times, the least. The least I advise for rehearsals, especially those who are just starting to embrace camera presentation, is you do that for just 5 times. If you do your rehearsals more than 5 times, you come in front of camera, trust me, you would never get it wrong. So that's why it's very important to get your scripting very correct. What I'm going to say to end the scripting conversation is the same thing I've said from the beginning. Always have what you want to talk about written down. Memorize it. So at some point, you might not need to use paper or your reminder if you have memorized them. That is if you know you know exactly what you want to do before you come in front of your camera. Let me quickly add that I want to recommend the microphone I used for my presentation. The last time I was here, I didn't talk about your microphone. I used this K95 Ultra Compact 2.4 GHz wireless microphone. So if you're looking for a microphone that filters noise and it's good for you for vlogging, for video presentation like this, I'm going to recommend this for you. You're going to love it. I use it most of the time, unless I have to sit in front of a professional camera. But for now, I'm just using my phone camera. So we will also talk about dressing to some extent. Again, dressing is very important. Your presentation determines your dressing. right? If you're going to make a presentation that includes an announcement of a brand, that includes something very professional, maybe you're making an announcement in church, or you want to make an announcement or something very, very professional, then you need to dress the occasion. If you need to put on suit, please put on suit. If you need to put on corporate gowns, please do so. If you need to wear minimal earrings, minimal jewelries, do so. It is very, very important. If you need to look very sharp for your presentation, always ensure you do that. Now, outside all of these things is the editing. The editing now comes to you, especially when you're the only person in charge of this. So I always advise you edit with CapCut if you're using your phone to make videos. I always edit my videos with CapCut. Even when I use professional camera, CapCut also have a laptop version, so you can always, because it has like a lot of latest features, transition, a lot of AI technologies in place for CapCut. But aside that, we have Adobe Premiere Pro, we have CSCs, we have C20, there are just a lot of them. There's After Effects. Adobe over time has, helped us explore a lot of effects for video editing. So you must learn how to edit. Little by little, you could go to YouTube, look for YouTube videos that can teach you how to edit as a professional, edit your videos so you don't need to rely on anybody to make your videos for you. So I know in the previous video, we talked about gesticulation, body movement, and looking very approachable on camera. But I need to re-emphasize on the need for you to do this in your presentation. In fact, most of the time, I tell people, when you're talking in front of a camera, just assume that you're talking to a person. Now, imagine talking to a person and you're fidgeting or you're scared. Why are you scared? A lot of people are scared of the camera. They shiver when they're in front of camera. I was at that level too at some point. But when I realized that camera is just another person, that person who could be your friend, your family, your colleague at work, a relative, so you don't need to be you don't even need to be scared or tensed at any point. Always remember the camera is your baby. And you know what we do to our baby? We embrace it, you're right? We love it, we take care of it. So it's a reflection of whatever you give to it. And so for no reason should you be scared when you stand in front of a camera. Yes, I said before that the camera is your time to fly, no time for mistakes. But there could be mistakes along the line, even in live programs. So what happens when you make mistakes? If it's a live program, get hold of yourself. If it's a live presentation, get hold of yourself and say, I beg your pardon. Let me rephrase that. You don't need to stop to make the obvious look that, okay, I made a mistake. And when it's recorded, you could just say, take one, take two, take three, take four, take 100. I'm hoping you don't get to 100 anyway. So those are the professional things you do while you're on camera, because everyone makes mistakes, to be honest. The mistakes are most times edited out, because what you're watching right now, there are a couple of mistakes in between. They are being edited out. That's the place of editing after camera presentation. Please, when you make your camera presentation, don't just carry everything straight and place on your platform, maybe YouTube, Instagram, or Facebook. Edit it. Ensure your sound is well edited. The background noise, I'm assuming your microphone would do justice to that, right? So ensure that you do a lot of editing after because editing is like, you've cooked some food, you need to now, let's not say dish now. Editing is also part of the cooking, right? When they finish editing, that's when you say the food is ready to be served. So it's a very crucial part of camera presentation. Your camera presentation is not complete without an editing, unless when it's not live. If it's live, a couple of your mistakes would have just fly by that time, because people are watching you directly as it is. So it is very important that you always remember the camera is your friend and not there to make you feel bad. Another very interesting technique I'm going to teach you for rehearsing your on-camera presentation is, before you stand in front of a camera, try standing in front of a mirror, maybe a big mirror or maybe a half mirror, where you could see yourself from your head to your toe. You could tell if you're fidgeting. You could tell if you have the confidence that you're looking for. You could tell all that you need to know just before going in front of camera. So why not stand in front of a mirror, say those things you want to say it as many times as you want to. Get hold of yourself. I promise you, you do that for 5 times, the least. the least I advise for rehearsals, especially those who are just starting to embrace camera presentation, is you do that for just 5 times. I'm going to stop here today. If you haven't submitted your assignment, please, I beg you, make your assignment. I have got another very important announcement that I'll be making, but I'll be making it in the class via a text message. Thank you to everyone who has been watching, and I hope you make yourself proud at the end of our 2 weeks masterclass on on-camera presentation. Bye.